talk and text line at 1-877-794-1973. That's 1-877-794-1973.
If I'm in this crummy situation, let's make content out of it.
The Matt Schneidman Show is brought to you by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest.
Never go corporate. Always go local.
Now with Doug Russell.
Doug, that's why you need to focus and you do everything that we say.
Here's Matt Schneidman on the game.
I think me and Matt have a much better feel for each other.
It's the Matt Schneidman Show, Tuesday, November 26th. 2 days out from Packers Dolphins Thanksgiving night football at Lambeau Field. This is our last show of the week. Doug Russell on the ones and twos. I'm obviously the namesake of this show. Unfortunately, for some people who don't like listening to my voice. Although if you're listening to the show and don't like listening to my voice,
that's kind of on you.
Maybe you just like torture, which, you know, my voice can be torture for some. Today's our last show of the week. Tomorrow, Buffalo Wild Wings football feast, normally on Thursdays. Moved up a day because the Packers obviously play on Thursday this week. We will be at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Ashwaubenon, a.k.a. right across the street from Lambeau Field. So come out and see us. I believe it's from 4 to 7, 3 to 7.
Well, Drew and KB go from 3 until
3 to
5.
6, right.
3 until 5, and then the
3
feast
until 5. They'll be there until 7.
They will be there until 7. So the feast runs 2 hours. You're there for the final hour.
Exactly. But I will probably go earlier than that for my free wings.
I mean, that's never a bad thing.
Never a bad idea. So come out and see us at the Buffalo Wild Wings across the street from Lambeau Field. If you're not, you know, at your local high school bar, because I know that's a big thing on the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. Anyway, today was the only day of availability over at Lambeau Field. Walkthroughs only this week. So all these practice reports, or injury reports, I should say, are just estimations. They didn't actually practice. So these DNPs and limited participants aren't actual reports. They're just estimations. So let's go through what the Packers wheeled out today. And another tidbit, normally the final injury designations of the week, the outs, the questionables, the doubtfuls, are on Friday, so 2 days before a game. When the game is on a Thursday, teams release that on Wednesday, so 1 day before a game. So if you're wondering who's out, who's questionable, that's not released 2 days before a Thursday game. It's 1 day before a Thursday game. So for the Packers, again, these are estimations. Jair Alexander, DNP knee. Wouldn't expect him to play. Edgerrin Cooper, DNP hamstring. Romeo Doubs, DNP concussion. Matt LaFleur said he is still in the concussion protocol, but he was at walkthrough today, which is a good sign. John Fitzpatrick, their tight end, DNP back. Isaiah McDuffie, DNP ankle. Xavier McKinney, DNP has a personal matter, so not injury related, and he will be back in town tonight, Matt LaFleur said. So his status for Thursday's game is not up in the air, but hope whatever Xavier McKinney has going on, he's all right, and it gets worked out. And then Kenny Clark, back to full participation. He was listed on there with a rest day. Same with Elton Jenkins, back to full participation. Rasheed Walker went from limited to full because of a knee injury, or not because of a knee injury. He just had a knee injury on there. So the guys that I would expect to not play or really be in doubt, Jair Alexander, Edgerrin Cooper, Romeo Doubs, John Fitzpatrick, Isaiah McDuffie. The most notable one there, obviously, Jair. But the new ones that are notable from Sunday's game, Edgerrin Cooper and Isaiah McDuffie. Because now your depth at linebacker is tested. And you have Quay Walker, obviously, who has played, you know, the majority, if not all, of games all season. You have Eric Wilson, who has filled in admirably sometimes this year, most notably against the Houston Texans when I think he had 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He had a pick against the Colts. But now, especially when you're in base, when you're in nickel, you'll have Wilson and Walker on the field if Cooper and McDuffie don't play. But if you're in base and you need a third linebacker on the field, you're going to Tyron Hopper, the rookie 3rd-round pick that they got in the Rasul Douglas trade, because the Packers traded a 5th and Rasul Douglas to the Bills for a 3rd, with which they took Tyron Hopper. Hopper, I believe, played his first 7 defensive snaps of the season on Sunday against the 49ers. Jeff Hafley was very complimentary of him last week, saying what he's shown in practice. Hafley was asked again about Hopper today and said, coincidentally, he winds up going into the game and playing a little bit more than he has. Like I said last week, he's done a really good job, whether he's on that look team, meaning the scout team, or whether we put him in on reps. You can see him getting better, getting more comfortable, being more confident. I thought when he did go into the game, I thought he was physical. I thought he played fast. I think he took advantage of the opportunity. And if he has that opportunity again, I think we're all confident that he'll be able to do it again. I just think he continues to go like this. And if you're watching the stream, Hafley went like this, like stock up motion. And over time, I do believe he'll be a good player for us. So, Doug, with all that being said, I apologize for rambling there a little bit. Who is the most concerning injury to you? The two linebackers, Romeo Doubs or Jair Alexander, with all due respect to John Fitzpatrick?
It's probably still got to be Jair Alexander, because you would think that he would be matched up against Tyreek Hill. And, as we talked about earlier in the week, I mean, the Dolphins offense is on a little bit of a heater right now. Tua's playing well since he came back from, his latest concussion injury. And they're winning ball games right now, and you want your best on their best. And Tyreek Hill, even at this stage of his career, he's still pretty damn good. He's still an elite wide receiver, still has elite speed, and you want your best guy out there. So, I mean, to me, I understand what you're saying about the linebacker depth, and obviously it's a concern. Certainly it's a concern. I'm not necessarily concerned about Romeo, because I think they've got a lot of depth at wide receiver. Certainly you want him out there. You want everybody out there. But if you're asking me the one that is concerning the most, just because of the circumstance, I'm going to go with Jair.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't think, Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon were tested too much against the 49ers. Obviously, Brandon Allen isn't going to be slinging the ball all over the yard. There was that one down the seam where Valentine didn't lose George Kittle. He just got beat. And you're going to get beat sometimes against a future Hall of Fame tight end. You're not going to see Eric Stokes much. He played a little bit. I don't know exactly how many snaps. Let me look that up real quick. He played a little bit on Sunday, but without Jair Alexander, you're going to need to have Valentine and Nixon play well, because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I know Waddle's not having a terrific year, but one of the more dangerous wide receiver duos in the league just in terms of speed. I think I mentioned this on last night's show, but Tua Tagovailoa, out of 40 quarterbacks that Next Gen Stats has tracked this season, has the lowest average intended air yards per pass. Basically, on average, his pass attempts are shorter than any other quarterback in the NFL, 5.5 yards. He throws it short and lets his receivers do the rest, for the most part, on average. Jordan Love ranks third out of 40 quarterbacks compared to Tua's 40 out of 40. Jordan Love, I believe, averages 9.1 yards per pass attempt in the air. Now, in the air, not 9.1 yards completed per pass attempt. Just, do you throw the ball far on average, whether it's completed or not? Tua gets the ball out quick. That's what a couple guys talked about today. He's really accurate. Matt LaFleur talked about that. It's just a very fluid offense when he's in there. And we talked about some of the stats yesterday. 11 interceptions. That's what Jordan Love has. 11 touchdowns, 1 interception since he returned 5 games ago. First in the NFL in EPA per dropback since week 8. This offense is dangerous. Now, there's the aspect of the cold. Tucker Kraft said today, they're coming to play ball. He doesn't factor in the cold. Jordan Love said, we have an advantage in the cold. So we'll see what happens. Pro Football Talk had the stat earlier this week that teams quarterbacked by Tua Tagovailoa, I'm not going to say Tua himself because quarterback wins aren't a stat, are 0-7 in 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. It's supposed to be around 20 last time I checked on Thursday in Green Bay. I'm going to do poorly during my sideline TV hit for NBC 26 before the game. I can only imagine how Tua's going to do. I think he'll do fine. Maybe not great, but not abysmally.
Yeah, but you've got a
Eric
nice
Stokes.
overcoat for TV. It looks good on television. You're always Natalie attired when you're on NBC 26.
I got to put on my pea coat this week.
Yeah.
Eric Stokes, 26 defensive snaps. Carrington Valentine, 30. So they basically split. So I stand corrected on that. I got to pay better attention to personnel, I guess. So yeah, Stokes is going to be called on as well if they continue that rotation. I know they haven't always done it. Carrington Valentine played basically all the snaps, 89% of them, and then Stokes played 4% of them against the Bears. Now it's back to more of a split. So it seems like, in Matt LaFleur's favorite word, it could be a fluid situation there. One player who did play better was Quay Walker. To the naked eye, he was moving around faster, being more decisive, had that TFL of McCaffrey near the 49ers sideline, had the pressure on the opening third down when Hafley sent him on that simulated pressure through the A-gap. He pressured Brandon Allen into a throwaway near the Packers sideline. Here's what the Packers defensive coordinator had to say about the 2022 first-round pick this afternoon.
I thought Quay played his best game, and which I was really proud of him, and it was really cool to see, because I think if you ask Quay the week before, I think he would tell you he didn't play his best game, right? And I thought the way he responded and the way he practiced, and just in practice, it was like he was on a mission last week. And then he went out and he played like that. He was fast. He was getting downhill. He tackled well. He played with great fundamentals. He was using his hands. He had a couple TFLs, on the ball, on those tosses that they were trying to get out on the perimeter like the Bears did the week before. I mean, he was just getting there and beating people to the punch, and he was knocking guys back, and he was setting the edge. I mean, he was really good in pass coverage. I think if you ask him, he probably should have intercepted that ball. I don't know. I think that's the best game that he's played. I mean, at least since we've been together, and I hope he can build off of that. But again, I think the coolest part is how he responded. I mean, it says a lot about him, and I was really proud of him.
So is it a concerted effort from you as a play caller to get him that pressure on the opening drive, just to not get his confidence back, but to get him rolling a little bit through the A-gap there on the first drive?
On the third down? It was a call we really liked, and we felt confident when we watched him do it in practice against our offense. I mean, it looked really good a couple times we ran it, so that was just kind of circled as the one I wanted to get in a certain situation, down distance and field zone, and it just so happened it came up, and we felt confident in it. But the reason we felt confident is because of how good he executed in practice. I mean, it wasn't so much the call, it was how well he ran it. And he's really good at stuff like that. So, and maybe, you know what, maybe that got him going early on, and he just got that confidence going, which sometimes people need. And it just continued. And I thought he played his best game.
So there you have it from Jeff Hafley. Quay Walker, kind of backing up what we all saw, played his best game against the 49ers. Can he keep that rolling? Can he continue that performance against the Miami Dolphins and the speed they have horizontally, vertically? The Packers will need it. Here's a fun stat from Maggie Loney, who I believe does some work for Cheesehead TV from Twitter. Matt LaFleur's teams have never lost on a holiday. I did not know that. 2021, Christmas versus the Browns, win. 2022, Christmas versus the Dolphins, win. 2022, New Year's Day versus the Vikings, win. 2023, Thanksgiving versus the Lions, win. 2023, New Year's Day versus the Vikings, win. I guess it was New Year's Eve. But
well,
you
it's
get
still
the
a
point.
holiday. New Year's Eve is still a holiday.
Yeah, it's still a holiday. 5-0.
Huh. Should ask Matt about that if he wins again on Thursday. What is it about holidays?
There are a lot of weird trends out there that people on Twitter have discovered. There's one with daylight savings time, I know.
Okay.
There's one with the Toyota-thon in accordance with Jordan Love.
Okay.
That people threw out there. I don't know the exact correlation.
Is there
but
anything
I've seen
about
it out
Lobster
there.
Fest at Red Lobster? Is there something in there too?
I don't think so. No,
Never mind.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
Now there's holidays. So, all right, let's roll through the Miami Dolphins injury report. We gave you the Packers injury report before we cold call Wayne Larrivee into this next break. I have not texted him yet. Hopefully he's awake. Teron Armstead, DNP, knee. Again, these are all estimations because neither team practiced. Tyus Bowser, DNP, knee/calf. Calais Campbell, limited vet rest. Kendall Fuller, DNP, concussion. Julian Hill, a tight end, full participant shoulder. Tyreek Hill, DNP, wrist/personal. Javon Holland, full participant, hand/knee. Alec Ingold, Bayport's own, limited with a calf. Benito Jones, limited shoulder. Robert Jones, offensive lineman, full participant, knee/groin. Patrick McMorris, off the injury report, their safety with a calf. Jordan Poyer, limited, vet rest. Jalen Ramsey, limited. I've never seen this before. Knees, not knee. Knees, plural, for Jalen Ramsey on the injury report. Anthony Walker Jr., linebacker, DNP, hamstring, and Isaiah Wynn, their offensive lineman, limited quadriceps/knee.
Okay.
So that's your injury report for
That's a
both
long
teams.
one.
More lengthy for the Miami Dolphins, knees. I've never seen that before.
No. Tyreek Hill did get some good news when they still cited him for that traffic unfortunate incident back on week 1. And so the court date was yesterday. The cops didn't show up. Dismissed.
I wonder why the cops didn't show up.
I don't know.
That's not for us to discuss. I'm going to stop that conversation right there.
Let's
get to a break here on the Matt Schneidman Show.
Reporting the news. Just reporting the news. Nothing more. Nothing more.
We're going to a break right here on the Matt Schneidman Show. On the other side of the break, we'll have Wayne Larrivee, voice of the Packers. Stick with us. We'll talk to you then.
Right now, can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? I can really.
Is your holiday shopping done yet? Iron Jock's got you, if it's not. Now through Cyber Monday, December 2nd, enjoy 40% off Iron Jock's entire line with promo code HOLIDAY40. 40% off everything except for clearance items and gift cards. So if you're stuck on what to get someone, give the gift of Iron Jock. Go to ironjock.com for details. That's ironjoc.com for 40% off now through December 2nd. Wayne Larrivee, the longtime voice of the Packers, now joins the program for his weekly Tuesday spot. Wayne, are the Packers a team that is squarely in Super Bowl contention, or do they need to knock off the Detroit Lions? I know I'm looking ahead. I know that's a cardinal sin here, but do they need to knock off the Detroit Lions in 2 weeks to officially become Super Bowl contenders, or have what they've done through the first 11 games shown you enough?
Well, that depends on who you're trying to impress. Whether you're going to knock off Detroit in Detroit or not. And so I would leave it at that. I think what the Packers are is a playoff team. That's what I think. And I think, can they get better than that? Yeah, because I think there's upside to get for this football team going forward. And I kind of like the way they're evolving. I mean, they're getting better as they go along. And, you don't have to be a Super Bowl team here in November. You need to be a Super Bowl team in January.
What has impressed you most about the way Josh Jacobs runs the football?
His vision in traffic. I mean, he's seeing things that certainly I can't see from up high, but his ability to find a sliver of an opening and to make someone miss in traffic. His power is obvious and that type of thing. I knew he had good hands, but the way he runs the football in traffic has impressed me the most.
Yeah, I think, and I said this stat on yesterday's show, just the workhorse nature he has. He has run the ball 25 or more times already, 3 times in his first 11 games with the team. Aaron Jones had 1 such game in 102 games with the team. Ben Sermon said the other week that it just looks different, even if the production's the same. I think Josh Jacobs is probably more durable. He pushes the pile a little bit more, falling forward. Aaron Jones was good at yards after contact, but Josh Jacobs just seems a little different. I can't quite put my finger on it, but would you agree that he just brings that different style than Aaron Jones, even if the production is somewhat similar? I don't remember the last time Aaron Jones was top 3 in the NFL in rushing yards after, 12 weeks? So I would say Josh Jacobs' production, at least in terms of yardage, is better. But I think it's pretty fair to say Josh Jacobs is a clear upgrade over Aaron Jones. Maybe not clear, but an upgrade.
I think an upgrade in a different way. You mentioned workhorse, and that's really what he is. The thing is, Aaron Jones was a physical runner. Don't get me wrong. He is a physical runner. But Josh Jacobs is bigger than him. He's thicker than Aaron Jones. And, when that gives the Packers offense a little bit more physicality in the running game. And that's really where you start establishing on the offensive side of the football a physical nature. It's in the running game. And he gives them that. So I think the Packers are a much more physical football team. They look like a more physical football team from an offensive standpoint than they have in a long time.
I would agree with that. Long gone are the days of Robert Saleh when he was coaching the Jets saying, I wanted to take them out to deep waters and drown them, like he did when they came to Green Bay a couple years ago with the Packers coming off the London trip. I normally ask you, what's your early read on the opponent? But I guess it's not really an early read because the game's in 2 days. Dolphins aren't any slouches with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, are they?
No, Tagovailoa is playing really well. Since he came back from that concussion, he missed 4 games, 5 weeks. They had a bye week in the middle of it. He's been really sharp, Matt. They've shortened their passing game. They're not throwing it down. They're not running the fly patterns. They're not throwing it downfield the way they have in the past. They are getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands really quick. I think that has something to do with the concussion worry that is going on with this particular player. They get the ball out quick. They get it out to the flanks, and they're getting out to people who can beat you with their legs and speed. They have great speed throughout, including Achane, the running back. He's an excellent runner, good receiver, big-time speed, can hit the home runs. But, Tyreek Hill, all these guys are getting the ball on the flank of the offense and making something happen, or the look-in pass, that kind of thing. But everything's really short and quick, and these guys, with their ability on the perimeter, make plays.
Yeah, they're going to have to be the Packers. This is very sound tackling because, as we've mentioned, Tua Tagovailoa likes to get rid of the ball quick and throws it short. Finds his guys, Achane, Hill, Waddle. able to generate yards after the catch, the Packers are going to have to be sound in their tackling. Wayne, are you familiar with this turkey leg controversy from last Thanksgiving involving Greg Olsen and Jordan Love?
No, not particularly. I knew there was some kind of flap, but I didn't quite, digest the whole thing.
So Jordan Love didn't get a turkey leg after the Thanksgiving game last year when they beat Detroit. And Greg Olsen was shown on the broadcast in the booth ripping into a turkey with his hands. Now, it's the ceremonial celebration, if you will, on Thanksgiving for guys to get turkey legs from whether it's Melissa Stark or
Sure.
Erin Andrews, whoever it may be. Erin Andrews actually came out on her podcast and said, Fox doesn't give out turkey legs anymore. Well, Packer fans have run with it and said, well, Greg Olsen ate the turkey leg, or it had a Lions logo on it because they expected the Lions to win. So Tucker Kraft today, and I quote, said, pretty sure Greg actually ripped into it, right? He started eating it before we got an opportunity. We'll make sure Jordan gets it this year. We'll make sure about that. Greg Olsen responded to my tweet with the gif of, I'm not sure what movie this is from because I'm not a big movie person. And I'm going to get made fun of for that for anyone listening to this. Vince Vaughn saying, erroneous on both counts. So Greg Olsen clearly disagrees. And then Tucker Kraft responded to that tweet saying, my apologies, Uncle Greg. So maybe as you, the broadcaster, Wayne, can officially get to the bottom of this turkey leg controversy, which is still simmering here in Green Bay a year after it allegedly happened. Allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's myth. Part of it's myth. We don't even know if it's true. We'll have to get to we're going to set one of our big teams on this now, one of our investigative teams, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
There you go. All right, let me flip it to the other side of the ball. With the Packers defense, they did what they had to do against the 49ers. Is that just a throwaway game because the 49ers didn't have Trent Williams and Brock Purdy? No Brandon Ayuk, obviously, out for the season. Or are there things from that game the Packers can look at and say, okay, this is a building block for weeks to come, whether it be Quay Walker's play, Van Ness, Nixon? Are there things you can actually take substance out of? Or is it just, okay, good, you did what you were supposed to do against a depleted offense?
I don't think it's ever like that. You just dismiss a performance. I'm talking about within the team, okay? All of us on the outside, the pundits and the fans and everyone else often say, well, they just did what they had to do. Let's see what they do against a good team. That's not the case inside the locker room. No, that was a significant win. It was a good win. They did what they had to do, but they did it well. That's the other thing. Quay Walker played exceptionally well. Maybe his best game of the season, maybe the best game of his career. Maybe he can build from that. And, I think that's a big part of it. I think that when you look at what they got, a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. They still need to do better than that area, and I'm sure they're looking to crank that up. But that's something they can build on, the fact that they held the 49ers in check and that type of thing. And I understand the quarterback and situation and all that for San Francisco. But nonetheless, they did a heck of a job on, McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey can burn a defense. He doesn't need Brock Purdy behind or in front of him at quarterback to do that. So, and they contained him. So there's much they can build from that, I think. And they're going to get a chance to against a very, very talented and fast Miami offense. And I hope that the field, Lambeau Field, may kind of bring the Dolphins back to the pack a little bit in this matchup with the fact that this is not a tight, hard, dry surface like they're used to playing on.
You think that'll actually make a difference?
I think it could. I think the track can make a difference when you're talking about speed, and that's the big thing. And I think the field can have an impact. I'm not saying that's going to be the determining factor by any stretch, but I think it can help.
Okay, yeah. There's obviously the 0-7 stat that PFT put out about the Dolphins with Tua being 0-7 in sub 40-degree weather. But at the same time, Tua Tagovailoa did come out in his post-game press conference after whooping the Patriots on Sunday and said he wants to kill narratives. He's ready to kill narratives. He's ready to prove people wrong. So maybe the 8th time's the charm, as I mentioned in the first. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree with you because, I think this team's very determined. This Miami team's very determined to come up to Green Bay and win on a cold night and prove to people that they can win a cold weather game, and also, get their record to 500 and stay in the race for the playoffs. This is huge for them. So I think a win Thursday night by the Packers will be a huge win. Now, I don't care how it happens, but this is an opponent that's playing its best football, and they're playing for their playoff lives.
We don't just throw around the term must win or can't lose on this show. We have a firm belief between me and Doug that must win is if you lose, your season's over, and can't lose. Well, I guess must win and can't lose are the same thing. I just, twisted my mind in a pretzel there. But would you say, or let me ask it this way, how would you rate the significance or importance of the Packers continuing to win, not only to make the playoffs, but to keep pace in the division? I wouldn't say it's a can't lose or a must win against the Dolphins, because Packers would be 8-4, still firmly in the playoff race. But where do you rank the significance of just continuing to win every single game, not just because wins are good, but because they're third in a division behind two of the better teams in the NFL, the Packers also being one of them, to keep that hope alive of contending for a division title if the Lions or Vikings falter down the stretch?
I agree. I would say it's pretty important in that regard. You want to keep pace. You want to be winning at this time of year. You want to be getting better. I think, the thing, Matt, if they win and get better, take a step up. Now, I thought they took a small step up defensively against San Francisco, and they did it. They really established their identity on offense in that game. I think if they can continue to do that against Miami, I think this will be a very significant moment for them. But, you're right about this. Miami needs the game more than the Packers do from a pure mathematical standpoint. But the Packers don't want to be throwing games away just because it's an AFC opponent down the stretch, especially losing a game at home. They've already lost to Detroit and Minnesota at home. They don't want to lose to Miami at home. So I think this is a big game in that regard. And yes, the Packers keep winning. You never know what could happen with Detroit. I mean, they've had a bevy of injuries. Minnesota, you don't know. You're going to get a chance to play those two teams. You've got to keep winning to make those games more significant.
Without a doubt. I agree with that one right there. Lions play the Bears on Thanksgiving, so they're probably going to win that game to get to, what would they be now?
They're 10-1 now. So.
They're 10-1, so they would be 11-1. Vikings, who do the Vikings play this week? The Cardinals? No, that's week 13. Yeah, it's week 13. So the Vikings host the Cardinals. If the Packers want to set up a game, a 9-3 versus 11-1 game next Thursday in Detroit, got to keep pace. That would be the most highly anticipated game on Thursday night this season. Kind of reminds me of that game in Arizona on Thursday night a couple of years ago where the Packers were 6-1, I think, and the Cardinals were 7-0. Packers went in there without Lazard, MVS, or Devontae and won because of the Rasul Douglas interception. So can't look ahead, though.
No, we can't.
Not at all. All right, Wayne, appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you Thursday night. I'm excited to see what spread the Lambeau Field fine folks in the cafeteria department have out for us up there in the press box. But spend some time with your family, obviously, early in the day. Then get over to Lambeau Field. We got a good one coming up on Thursday. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, Matt. Have a good week, Doug.
Thanks, Wayne. You too. I hope they have the omelet bar. That'd be nice.
There's no chance. It's a night game. That's only there for the
I know, but it'd be nice. Game. I'd appreciate it. They're probably going to give us some sort of dried, awful bird.
I think Ryan Wing, who's the sports director at Fox 11, had some stat that he said to Tucker Kraft today. I forget exactly what the stat was, but the Packers have only played a handful or less of games at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving in their team's existence. So the Lambeau Field dining staff hasn't exactly had too many reps.
Oh, that's true.
Putting out a Thanksgiving buffet. Last year in Detroit, there was Thanksgiving-style food. This year, I'm excited to see what the fine folks at Lambeau put out.
Well, they do that. I mean, in Detroit, they do it every year, so they're used to it by now. So I don't know. I've been catching strays from all of our hosts all day long about my about my stance on Thanksgiving food.
I think we definitely discussed this last year.
Yeah, Thanksgiving food is trash. Straight up trash.
Please elaborate.
All of it. Well, turkey's dry and it's awful and it's terrible. You wouldn't.
I agree with that.
You wouldn't eat it in July, so I don't know why you have to eat it on a Thursday, on a random Thursday in November. Stuffing is wet bread. I like mashed potatoes. I'm okay with mashed potatoes.
My mother makes a phenomenal sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top. That's kind of the signature dish of our family Thanksgiving. I'm fine with cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
I'm a green bean guy. My Uncle Kenny, my dad's oldest brother, makes like artichokes wrapped in a thin bread layering. Very good.
Not a big fan of the green bean casserole myself. I'll have green beans. Just give me the green beans. You can keep the casserole to yourself.
I could do without stuffing and turkey. You're right. Turkey's dry. If you throw a little gravy on it, I can live with it. But overall, not a huge fan. How about you guys and women? Let us know what you think. The NicoletLaw.com talk and text line is open. We have any text there today? 1-877-794-1973. How are the phone lines and text lines looking today on this fine Tuesday, November 20th?
Well, I've been reading during your interview with Wayne. I was reading some of the, because I was on with Drew and KB, so I was reading some of the ones from last hour. They were talking about Thanksgiving food all 3 hours of their show today. So I was, let's see, Doug, how is Thanksgiving your favorite holiday? Thanksgiving is great. I love Thanksgiving the day. Why do I have to celebrate it with food? If I'm going to celebrate my favorite holiday, which is probably Christmas anyway, but I love Thanksgiving. And the reason that I have pizza on Thanksgiving and have for years is because, listen, if I'm getting the chair the next day and the warden comes to me and says, you got one last meal, what's it going to be? It's going to be pizza. If I could pick one meal that I have to eat the rest of my life, it would be pizza. So that's why I have pizza on Thanksgiving, because I am giving thanks for all of the things that this country has offered me in my life and my family and all the help that I've had over the years. It is my way of celebrating all things America, because Thanksgiving is the all-American holiday. Pizza is the all-American food. So that's why I celebrate it that way.
And this year you get to spend it with me in the press box at Lambeau Field.
It's true, I do.
We're kind of like family now.
Yeah, I like that.
We're the iHeart family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the dysfunctional family that is iHeart.
So kind of switching, because I just remembered this. I know we have some audio queued up from Rich Bisaccia today. Rich Bisaccia, why did I say it like that? Rich Bisaccia obviously knew Josh Jacobs better than anybody before he came to the Raiders. Josh Jacobs, obviously, the money was a big deal, but he said Rich Bisaccia was also one of the main reasons he came to the Raiders. Bisaccia, after John Gruden was fired for the email fiasco a couple years ago, was the Raiders' interim head coach and led them to their only playoff berth in Josh Jacobs' 5 years in Oakland/Las Vegas. Bisaccia not retained by Mark Davis as the head coach. Josh McDaniels was hired. And Bisaccia comes to Green Bay as the special teams coordinator. Well, when the Packers were looking at Josh Jacobs this offseason, Bisaccia vouched for him, how good of a teammate, how good of a player he was. So I asked Bisaccia today, just what has he thought of Josh Jacobs' impact on and off the field over his first 11 games with the new team that Bisaccia encouraged to sign his former player.
Rich, you were more familiar with Josh Jacobs than anyone here before he came here. What do you just think about what he's given this team on and off the field?
Well, off the field, he's got a tremendous sense of people. He's got a character about him that can understand, have empathy for other people's stories and other things that they've been through. And so when he sits in somebody's locker or is in the cafeteria or some of those things, he's been through an ordeal himself. So I think he has the ability to relate to a lot of different things that players may go through. As far as football goes, I still think we're just scratching the surface with Josh Jacobs. I think we're all in this building. We're all just learning about, what the young man's makeup is, and he is a real deal running back. He's built to carry the ball. He's built to catch it. He's built to protect, and he loves football. He loves the grind of practice. He loves the grind of mental preparation. He loves the grind of playing in games. And what you see from him in games is the way he practices. It's the way he practiced when we were together before, and it's the way he practices now. And I think because of the example he set in practice, they have gotten a certain amount of respect for him and for what he's going to do in the games. I've said a long time now that the power of example matters more than the example of power, and he is definitely walking around as the power of example.
You think Rich Bisaccia likes Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, every interaction that I've had with Josh Jacobs, and I know you see him every day, so you have more than I do, but I mean, he's positive. He loves Green Bay. He appreciates, I think, the history of the Packers, and he loves winning. And I know when we were talking about Josh Jacobs earlier, it was like, well, yeah, the money helped. Sure, the money helped. Absolutely. But environment is important, though, too. And when you see guys that are choosing Green Bay, yeah, sure, the money doesn't hurt. But guys want to win at the end of the day. I mean, they know that their football careers aren't very long. And while you're here, you might as well create some sort of legacy. And I know that he wanted to create a legacy with the Raiders. It didn't happen. Just like Xavier McKinney wanted to create a legacy with the Giants. It didn't happen. Maybe you can create one here in Green Bay, because if you win a Super Bowl, as you know, because you've been around the Super Bowl champion Packers, the last couple of, Super Bowl 31, Super Bowl 45, once you win a ring in this town, man, you're pretty much gold. I mean, you will be celebrated the rest of your life if you win in Green Bay and you do it the right way.
I was thinking, even guys that don't around,
even guys that don't win rings. Well, I don't know.
Well, John Kuhn.
Well, yeah, there's one. See, he's got a ring. He's going to be a guy that's going to be celebrated for the rest of his life in Green Bay.
John Kuhn's the king of Green Bay Country Club. And for those unaware, the ordeal that Rich Bisaccia mentioned, Josh Jacobs spent a period of his youth homeless, living in a car with his father. So that is the ordeal Rich Bisaccia is referencing that helps him relate to, maybe adverse situations that other teammates are going through. And then for Rich Bisaccia to say Josh Jacobs is just scratching the surface,
Can't wait to see what's next.
What does a fully scratched surface looks like?
I don't know.
Look
He's
like
been pretty damn good already.
Pretty damn good is right. All right, let's get to our last break. We'll wrap things up on our last show of the week before the football feast hits the Ashwaubenon, Green Bay, whatever you want to call it, Buffalo Wild Wings right across from Lambeau Field tomorrow. Come out and see us there. For now, though, Doug and I have a little bit of time left. Stick with us. It's the Matt Schneidman Show right here on the Game. Joe Armstrong, huh, Doug?
Yeah, well, the name of the song is Holiday, so.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, that's what
Well
I did
done.
there. Thank you.
Phone lines are a buzz, aren't they?
Well, we got Mo.
I would consider that a buzz. Do we have him on the line? Mo?
Yo.
There he is.
Man, it's been a long time. I certainly miss you both. I hope you are all well, in good spirits.
You as well?
Enjoying this Packer season.
How has your season been? Are you married yet?
Trying to plan towards the wedding in another year or so.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's long-range planning.
Yeah, I think I maybe misremembered the timing of that. Anyway, what do you want to talk about Packers related?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very happy with the performance against the 49ers, but I can't help but feel extremely nervous for the Dolphins. And
Okay.
I know Tua Tagovailoa doesn't really play that well in the cold, but they have excellent weapons on the perimeter with Hill, Waddle, and Jonnu Smith. And that's what terrifies me the most, especially without Jair Alexander. Now, granted, Carrington held his own, but he wasn't really challenged much down the field from what I remember in that game. But I guess the one thing that kind of gives me some optimism is seeing that pass rush. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed it too, but that pass rush looked ready to rumble against San Fran. And I know the players were juiced up because that's the team that ended their season last year. But I just saw like a physicality element to this team that I haven't seen in such a long time, not just defensively, but offensively with this O-line, the way that they were moving bodies and the extra things. I played left tackle, so I love the extra things. Coaches would get so excited when they see those linemen running after the play, pushing the pile, doing that dirty work. And when I see that, I'll tell you, boys, my toes tingle. I mean, I can't help it. I get really excited seeing that. So I was very pleased with both defensive line and offensive line. And I think the Packers, if they could continue the physicality element that they've been bringing the past few weeks, then they could go as far as it takes them.
I like that. There was that one touchdown run. I think it was Josh Jacobs' first touchdown run where Elton Jenkins has a guy like 2 yards into the end zone. I do think, like Doug said earlier, and I agree with you, Mo, this physicality element is different with this Packers team this year. And, you talk about the pass rush. Jeff Hafley really complimented the defensive line when he spoke to us earlier today. Now, it's against a unit without Trent Williams. It's against a guy probably less comfortable in the pocket in Brandon Allen, but they still did what they had to do. And you brought up Jonnu Smith. We haven't really talked about him. Everyone talks about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane. And thank you, Mo, for the call. Hope you're doing well. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Jonnu Smith, the last 2 games, their tight end, 29 years old, played for the Titans and the Falcons before this, I believe. 29 targets, 15 receptions, 188 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns the last 2 games against the Raiders and Patriots. That's a guy you got to guard too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Absolutely.
Dolphins started this season 2-6, obviously, because it's Snoop Huntley, Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley. Let's put some respect on his name, as their quarterback after Tua went down with a major concussion. But since Tua has gotten back, this offense is clicking. This is a playoff team when Tua is in the lineup.
Yeah, they're playing for their playoff lives. I mean,
yeah,
because you mentioned that 2-6 record, but they've won 3 straight. And like you said, they're clicking on all cylinders with a lot of really talented guys. And when there are guys that aren't named Tyreek Hill, for example, that are getting the touches, 3 touchdowns in 2 games, that's significant. And yeah, this is an offense that is not to be taken too lightly. I know Packers fans aren't taking it too lightly. I know that maybe there were some that cringed when you're asking Wayne about Detroit, and I get it. Listen, that's right now. It's hard to not look forward to that, but you have to take care of, if you're the Packers, the Dolphins first, because they're not a pushover. I think that with all of the injuries, not that San Francisco's a pushover because they were kind of playing for their playoff lives as well, but they're so banged up. They're without their best player on defense. They're without their starting quarterback. They've been injured all season long. If you take a look at the totality of their season, with all the games that McCaffrey missed and all the games that Kittle missed, now the quarterback, Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa, both of those guys are out. They were a shell of their former selves. You could almost look ahead a little bit. You can't do that with Miami because, again, it's so important as to when you play teams. And right now, Miami's riding a heater.
Miami is absolutely riding a heater. Packers riding a mini heater, 2-game win streak after the
Four-
bye week and loss to the Lions.
4 out of their last 5, 5 out of their last 6,
6 out of their last 7.
6 out of their last 7.
Yeah.
So
because they're
beating the teams they need to beat. And I still say that every team, even if it's a Super Bowl champion, they've got a clunker somewhere along the line. And
the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They put up 19 against Joe Barry's defense here in Green Bay last year around this exact week. It was this exact week, week 13, week after Thanksgiving, but it's week 13 this year because I think Thanksgiving might be a week later. Chiefs put up 19. There are undulations in every season, except for this year's Detroit Lions. Not really. I mean, they've won 9 in a row. Packers were 2-2. Now they're 8-3. So they've won 6 out of their last 7. That's the tough part about this season, though. You can't really have that dip if you're the Packers because you already got your dips out of the way, and the 2 teams ahead of you in the division aren't having any.
Yeah, I mean, they dug themselves such a hole against Minnesota. They missed a couple of field goals from the guy that's not there anymore. Opening night in Sao Paulo is what opening night in Sao Paulo was, but the Eagles have shown themselves to be a pretty damn good team too, as we knew they would be going into the season. Just a lot of weird things happened that evening, but I mean, every game is critical. Every game is important, especially when the other teams, and this is something that's new for the Packers, to have 3 teams in their division be as good as they are. And Minnesota, I think, is the big surprise, especially with Sam Darnold and the reclamation that Kevin O'Connell has done with him. You know, I know that they wanted to have J.J. McCarthy be their starting quarterback. Maybe it's better for both the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy that he did get injured. Not that you want a guy to get hurt, but it allows him to do what so many quarterbacks have done and then been successful, whether it's the obvious examples that we have in Green Bay with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers before him, but even Patrick Mahomes. He didn't start right away when he got into the NFL, and he's turned into one of the top 5 quarterbacks in NFL history, arguably.
He has. Future Minnesota Viking Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm kidding. He had, I didn't listen to many of the clips, but he had maybe not an all-time Pat McAfee show appearance today, but yet another Pat McAfee show appearance, obviously, but a significant one nonetheless for how he kind of went at one of my colleagues. If you want to give it a look, go ahead, but I will not be listening to that. Anyway, we got a Thanksgiving game on tap, everybody.
Yeah,
Packers Dolphins Thursday night. Should be a good one tomorrow night, as I've mentioned already. Come out to the Green Bay / Ashwaubenon Buffalo Wild Wings, South Oneida Street, right across from Lambeau Field. I will be there.
It's a home game for you.
Hopefully Hunter will be there.
Hope so.
If not, it'll be me, Billy, Drew, KB, maybe Wayne. So come out. We'll see you there. It's Thanksgiving football. Nothing better. For us, we don't have a show until next Monday, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully Hunter will be back by then. If he's not back by tomorrow, hopefully he'll be back for you on Monday.
I hope Hunter's back by then. So for Doug, I'm Matt. We appreciate everybody for listening.